Hello. This is awesome. I gotta figure out how to invite. I'm gonna say hello to some of you who are actually on the stream. I just need to know how to go ahead and invite my friend. There should be a way of doing this. Hello. Look at that. There's quite a few of you already. Let's see, participants maybe? This is my first time doing this. Hey, Kyle. So I need to know where the button is to go ahead and invite someone to this share. She's already ready. My friend Dawn is already ready on the other side. So there is a button somewhere someone told me about. You miss Anna already? Today was her last day, wasn't it? All right. There should be a button. Thank you for your patience, guys. Like I said, I'm still learning how to use... Hey, Jason. Let's see. There is a way to add people to this live. And for some reason, I don't see the button right now. Hold on. Let's see. YouTube Live. Hey, Daniel. Hey, guys. I apologize, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm live now, and I thought there was a place for me to go ahead and click a plus sign, and the plus sign that should then just take me straight to someone. I wonder if I can click on one of you guys. No, that's not it. That's really strange. Hold on for 1 second. Let me see what I can do. Hold on. Hey, for some reason, it's not allowing me to add you when I'm in the live. I'm actually live right now. I'm talking to you on the phone. I'm actually with all these other people waiting for us. Yeah, it's really strange. Like there's supposed to be like a plus sign, and then you should be able to jump on. But for whatever reason, I don't see you. Hey, Anna. Even my daughter's waiting for us right now too. Is that cool? Yeah, she's online. So, could you do me a favor? And can you just Google like how to join a YouTube live, and then open another tab and go to Shay Sun at on YouTube, and then see if you can see what people are saying to us right now. Cool. We're just gonna do our best. Well, I know, but then that way you can actually see. Maybe there's a button. Like sometimes, like on Instagram, I'm able to just have someone join me directly. So like a participant, and I don't see that right here. So that's so weird. Because someone told me that this was super, super easy. So not sure. Hold on. You know what? I'm gonna ask somebody. Does anyone know how to join a YouTube live? Let's see what people say, because for some reason I thought this was going to be super, super, super easy, because on Instagram Live it is super easy, and I don't see a plus button, so I'm not sure what's going on. Because we were just on that video chat together, right? And that totally worked. So I'm not sure what's the difference. Thank you for all your patience, ladies and gentlemen. It says go to YouTube and press live chat. I don't think we can have gone, but I don't think you can. I've gone live before and never was able to add people. What? Well, worst case scenario, what we'll have to do, Dawn? Yes, jungle fever. Worst case scenario, I'll just have to put you on speaker, and we'll have to go do it that way. I mean, that's only the way that I can think of. If we can't, if there's not an add button somewhere. But I would really like people to see you, though. Let's see. Right. All right. What we may need to do. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's the case. So you know what I'm thinking? Let's see, or something like that. Stream on your laptop. Let's see. Let me see people's comments. Yeah, I don't see a button at all for a join. And people told me that you could totally do this. Really? Hey, Marsha, it said I was going 15 minutes ago. Yeah, it was set for 4 o'clock, so that's really strange. All right, guys. So why don't we do this? Since we can't figure it out and it's already 4:07, Dawn, I'm going to put you on speaker. Is that cool? Okay. Hey, guys. Can you guys all... Hey, Dawn, can you say hi?
Hi.
Can you guys all hear Dawn? I just want to make sure, because I have the microphone, and I want to make sure the fact that you can hear both of us. If you can hear both of us, if you can go ahead and just... Yes. Awesome. Lena, great. Awesome. Anna, thank you. Yes, you hear her. Awesome. So sorry that we cannot have Dawn actually video chatting with us. I'll have to figure that out later. But at least we have Dawn here through audio. And I'm really excited for this episode of Shay Shares. I hope that all of you are just as excited as I am. Dawn and I have known each other. Hey, Dawn, how long have we known each other for?
I guess it's going to be, because we're old.
We're old? Oh, that's so funny.
It'll be almost over 20-something years.
Over 20
since we were 16.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Karen. Yeah, it's been a long time. And so so Dawn and I have been keeping in touch actually for quite some time. Even Teresa, my ex-wife, knew the fact that my ex-wife loves Dawn, and which is kind of an unusual relationship, don't you think, Dawn?
Yes.
So yeah, so a lot of this actually came about because Dawn and I were having a conversation just, what was it, last week? It was like not the last Sunday, but the previous Sunday. And yeah. Dawn, you said something to me pretty spectacular. I kind of want to start off with that. And you had mentioned the fact that that the most amazing compliment you've received was from Teresa.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to say something about that?
Sure. So this was around the time, this was after Shay and Teresa got married. And I forgot why you guys were in California, but you came home. Maybe it was just like, coming to visit the family.
Well, this is Northern California,
in terms
right?
of Northern California, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to Novato.
Mm-hmm.
And I should say, too, that you and I were in touch, and even through college. And so I knew when Shay had dated that chick in college. And when Shay was serious about marrying Teresa, he actually called me and left me a message on my phone and said, Dawn, this is the one. And I knew that when Shay says this is the one, it's the one. She is the one. And so I was always wanting to meet her. And I think there was some reason why you guys were coming to my house. With my parents, to visit my parents.
You're right.
And that was like the first time I was going to meet Teresa, and I was really nervous. And I don't remember how, we ended up having sort of a one-off conversation. And she said, I've always wanted to meet you. And it sort of took me aback that she said that. Even that she wanted to meet me. And she said, because, you are, because of you, Shay is who he is. And you helped him become the man that he is today. And I always wanted to meet you because of that. And I just was so overwhelmed by that. I just felt valued. I just felt, and you guys will maybe understand even more as we talk a little bit about some of the things that we went through, but I just felt like my place in Shay's story was seen and was valued. And that just meant so much to me, that she would even tell me that. And yeah, it just, to this day, it just puts a smile on my face and speaks a lot to the woman that Teresa is, to even say that to me.
Right.
And to even feel that she needed to share that with me. So
yeah, I think Teresa just always had high respect for you and also your mom and your family, and so I think it was just really easy. And also, I've always spoken highly of our relationship. And so, for those of you who are just tuning in, this episode of Shay Shares is really about interracial dating in high school and how it's really the same, but also really different. And when Dawnn was telling me, and about this whole thing with Teresa, it really made me reflect on like how our relationship back in high school really set me up for dating relationships in the future. Both my, with my, almost 22 years of marriage to Teresa, and also just in terms of how we relate to dating now. That so much of our relationship, because it was so normal and yet so not normal. It was like both, right? And so, when we were talking the other day, I told Dawnn the fact that I I have my high school yearbook, and one of the things that I have found to be Dawnn, you were saying the fact that Teresa gave you like the best compliment in your life, and I can almost say the same about you. Like what you wrote in my yearbook, I still go back to, and I read it to you the other day, but I'm gonna read it to our the people on on live right now. So, but you said, I don't think you realize how much God has used you to influence the lives of other people. And I'm not just saying that. When God places you in someone's life, there's a 99% chance that you'll have a great impact on their life. I'm speaking from experience. I've always been amazed about that. You have made such an impact on my life. And so, so I think this whole thing about impact, right? And this whole thing in terms of like you're talking about being seen, right? So like you had this massive impact on my life, and Teresa was able to feel the ripples of that. And so for today's Shay Shares with Dawnn, I think you'll get to know obviously Dawnn better, but then you also get to know me better. Not only the Shay, the 44-year-old Shay, but also the the Shay of like what 16 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 15, yeah, 15, 16, yeah. Right.
So maybe we can start off with that. I mean, in terms of like, I moved from the East Bay, right, from like Richmond in the Bay Area, from Richmond to the North Bay, and I remember being very upset in 8th grade the fact that I was needing that my parents were going to move us to there, and I even said to my mom, I was such a brat in a lot of ways. And I said, if you move us to the Bay Area, I'm going to purposely date a white girl just to make you mad. That didn't end up happening, actually. Instead, it was a little bit more different than that. And so, so I started going to youth group, and then Dawnn and I went to the same high school together. And I think it was really about being in youth group that we started, like getting to know one another even more than just even on campus. So, Dawnn, you were mentioning to me yesterday in terms of like your first impressions of me were not necessarily super positive. You want to share just a little about that? I mean, this is like so vulnerable, right?
Well, okay, so yeah, so Karen Kotomori brought Shay and Lily and Alex and gosh, really Tien and his brother Tien to youth group at First Baptist Church of Novato. And we used to have our own sort of youth service. And at the time, I think on like Sunday evenings, it was like our time, youth time, whatever. And, right. And Karen invited a lot of folks. Looking back on it now, it's like, wow, she invited half of the youth group. Right. That became the United Nations. Totally. We were literally the United Nations in Lily White, Novato. That's another story.
That is another story. We have to do this another time.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of ironic.
Oh gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, so Shay, and it's funny, our first memories of each other, we were talking about this yesterday, are very different. Apparently we had a class
Yeah, we had a drawing painting class in high school. I can't believe you
Yeah.
can remember that. It's funny.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't.
I love art.
But yeah, so my first impressions of Shay was a real smart mouth. Now, what I should say to your audience is that I'm also a smart mouth.
Yes,
so,
totally true. Yes.
And it always got me in trouble with my mother, and there was no respecter of persons as it relates to being smart. Like adults that I have a good relationship, I'm a smart mouth. And so Shay and I would have a lot of back and forth in the beginning, just sort of teasing each other, not from a flirting perspective, but just from a friendship perspective. And initially, Shay got on my nerves. So that was he really got on my nerves. But not in the point where I didn't like who he was, but it was just like a little gnat that you just keep trying to.
A gnat? Wow.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make an analogy.
Okay. All right.
So you can paint a picture.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was my first impression.
All right.
Or initial, I guess it wasn't really first, but that was my sort of impression over time in terms of. Am
I gonna regret this, like going live with you? I mean, I'm like thinking to myself, wait a second. Okay, go ahead.
No, just saying that it wasn't my first. I don't remember my very first impression of you.
Yeah. Was
at the time, but just over time, our friendship was playful, and and at the same time, you got on my nerves.
All right. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, and so then later on, you said the fact that things had shifted for you, like you didn't realize you liked me until you said the fact that I was like so naive, like I would be like lovey-dovey on people and not in a romantic way, but in like an innocent way.
So I love how you tell on yourself. You think I'm going to blow you up, and you just blew yourself up.
Okay. So it's just fresh in my mind because we talked about it last night.
For your listening audience, when Shay was, and he still is, and he was when he was 15, very personable, very engaging with individuals, where folks would just sort of feel comfortable in sharing with him about their lives. And that's always been the case. That's been a constant about Shay, at least as long as I have known him. And so, but what's ironic is Shay was, this is very unusual. Shay would hold the hands of our mutual women friends. Like,
gosh.
And you think, okay, well, people are holding hands because they're dating. But Shay would just hold hands with our women friends or young lady friends, just because it's like, this is my friend, this is my girl. So, we're here and, I'm holding her hand. So sometimes women or young women at the time would, there were a few friends that had crushes on Shay. And so they would feel like that when he was holding their hand, that meant that he was interested in them romantically.
And I was just being friendly, right? Is that what I was doing?
Yeah, you were totally being friendly.
Yeah, totally.
It was
innocent.
It was totally innocent, and he was oblivious to maybe how the message that was like putting across.
I'm gonna have like fits of nervous laughter now, Dawn. Okay.
So he was nervous about that. I mean, he was. You just didn't recognize that was, I don't want to say a problem.
Yeah.
But the message that was giving. So that was just like Shay was just in terms of my knowledge of him. I'm like, that's what Shay does. And I remember there was a time where a friend of Shay and mine was like, she was holding Shay's hand, and I was irritated. I got upset, and I remember going home, and I'm like, what is Tracy's deal? Like, and I kind of said to myself, why do you care?
Mm-hmm.
And it just sort of, it morphed into all of a sudden my feelings for you were more than just friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know when that happened.
Right.
I don't know how that happened. It literally was this moment where I realized that I felt more for you than friendship.
And at that point, did you see me as like Chinese? Because obviously I'm not Black or African American, right? I think you knew that, right?
Yes, Shay. I did know that.
Okay, I'm cracking myself up now. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. But then that didn't bother you, right? I mean, that was not a thing like for you. I think you dated like a Jewish guy in 7th grade or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember like thinking a lot about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
And
at the time,
you're right, and I didn't even see you that way either, right? It wasn't like that's Dawnn. It wasn't like there's Dawnn, the Black girl, the African American girl in my youth group. It was nothing like that, right? So
yeah, I just don't remember having that memory.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I don't know if it had something to do with the fact that in high school and in the town of Novato,
which is extremely Caucasian. Mm-hmm.
Extremely.
Mm-hmm.
And to a point where my mother we would be in a grocery store, and if she found another Black family shopping, she would make it her point to beeline.
Wow, I never heard that story.
Reach out and and say, introduce herself and say, where do your kids go to school?
Amazing.
And so because the Black community was really small.
Yeah.
And I say that to say, so I guess I felt like we were the same, but we were too different. Like we were both in this different.
Our differences is what made us the same.
Yeah. Yes. Like we were two individuals from
that were minorities,
from representing groups that were not reflected in the town of Novato.
Right.
So when I started liking you, it wasn't like I was thinking, maybe if I were white, I would have.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's Chinese.
That's true. That is
true. But it was
kind
of like, okay, it's Shay. Like,
That's so funny.
We're two peas of the pod.
Yes, Mark.
Like,
Mark's laughing too in the comments. Mm-hmm.
we're two peas and we're two different peas in this pod. Yeah. And so maybe that's why I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So at one point, I started having feelings for you, and you mentioned to me last night, because my memory's so not good. And so you had mentioned the fact that, at least old memories, and you had mentioned the fact that the way that I told you was very unusual, that I liked you.
Yes. So, well, and also I should say the way that we started going out.
Mm.
So be prepared, folks, because this is kind of corny. It's sweet, but it's corny. I'm just gonna,
So I'm just doing an LOL for that in the comments.
I'm just prefacing this. So yeah, I think there was all this talk, I think, going around amongst our friends that Shay liked me. I don't think I had revealed yet to anybody that I liked Shay, and particularly because our friend Tracy was also kind of liking him, and I was sort of didn't know how to navigate that. But so there was all this sort of buzz talking that Shay liked me, and for some, I don't know how. I was at Tracy's house. I know. And I think this is sort of the point where I kind of revealed that I like Shay, and I'm starting to like Shay, and then I share with her that. And I don't know why you called me at Tracy's, because I know I was not at home. It was
that is weird. Yeah,
weird, and we don't have cell phones.
Right, exactly. This is pre iPhones. Wait, this is like 1991 or something like that. 92.
Yeah. So there's no cell phone. So I don't know why you called me at Tracy's.
I have no idea. Intuition, spidey sense, something. But
you called me at Tracy's, and you said you had a joke to tell me.
Wait. So this was on the phone?
This is on the phone.
Oh, I don't think I realized that. Okay.
No, this wasn't in person.
Okay.
So Shay said, he's like, why did the chicken cross the road? And I said, to get to the other side. And he's like, well, why did I cross the road? And I said, why? And you were like, to see you.
Oh, look at it. Is corny, but it was sweet.
It's so corny.
Okay, but what was your reaction? What was your reaction? What did you say to me, though?
Literally, I was like, really?
No, but the really wasn't about the joke being corny, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was about the fact that what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
That you would cross the road to see me.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And you were like, yeah. And it was it, folks. And then Dawnn and Shay became a couple.
Yeah,
like
will you go out with me? Would you be my girlfriend? Nothing like that, right? And that's right. That joke then lasted for not that the relationship was a joke, but that one communication of emotion then took us on a 2.5-year journey through basically like all of junior year and all of senior year, I think.
Well, so partly like sort of the end of, we had finished sophomore year.
Yeah.
Like it was towards the end of sophomore year.
Right. So that's a good chunk of time then, right? It's like more than half of our high school years.
Yeah. And into junior year and senior year.
Yeah. So let me do the aftermath of all of this. So liking Dawnn did not go well. This is an understatement, I think, right? It did not go well with my family at all. And so my parents were quite upset, and they put me on an airplane during the summer and sent me off to China. Not a timeout, like leave the continent, right? And so, and there was actually a probably a story that within that context that I need to share with the group, because of the fact that it really shaped my own life. And what happened was, while I was in China, I was with a bunch of other kids my age and a little bit older. And actually, I started developing a little bit of feelings for this girl. I'm not really sure exactly how this happened. Maybe it's I just missed Dawnn so much. But I started holding hands with this one girl. She was like, I don't know, a year or two younger than me. But I did feel guilty. But the weird thing is, like, Dawnn, I think I told you this. Even when I was holding hands with this girl, we were talking about like you and all this kind of stuff. So it was like really bizarre. But when I came back, I didn't lie about it, right? I went ahead and I like told you up front about it, and you were a little less than happy about that. Do you remember this?
I do, but you need to give this context. Right?
Okay, all right.
So that actually did not happen.
What?
The timing of it. You should get the timing of it.
Okay.
So that didn't happen until what? Was it did we finish our junior year? Was it the summer of our junior year?
No.
So our first year?
No, it was like right after, like we started dating and my parents sent me to China. So it would have been like,
Shay.
It wasn't?
It wasn't. It was later.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. We had been dating for a year and I did that to you?
It was later.
Oh crap. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
It was later.
Oh my gosh.
No,
holy crap.
Yeah, it was later than that. We were in the height of our
Wow.
It was later.
So that means we must have dated for like a year and a half and I did that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I know you already forgave me, but man, I feel worse now. I'm feeling worse on to the whole internet. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, guess what? You found out something that I just found out. Wow, I told my memories isn't so good about time. All right. So that experience, when I came back and you forgave me, right? And I was upfront with you. I mean, it wasn't like we kissed or anything like that, but we held hands and I felt bad because I had feelings for this girl. And I don't remember. Do you remember, like, did you forgive me pretty quickly, or were you mad for a while?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was upset. I was hurt. I don't recall. The one thing that I'll say is sort of to emphasize is the fact that because Shay's parents did not approve, and to say that is an understatement. Yeah, so I guess totally. from a timeline perspective, what I also want to make sure that communicated is that for our first year of dating, Shay and I could not go out by ourselves. Period. Like we had to be in a group.
Or in a youth group most of the time at church.
Group of friends, which consisted of the youth group. It didn't have to always be a youth group. Yeah, that's true. Activity, because sometimes we would just hang out, go to the movies, whatever. I mean, we would hang out a lot as a group, regardless of being at church. We would just hang out a lot. Yeah, and that's the only way we could spend time together. Mm-hmm. We could not go to any sort of functions where it was just the two of us, right? And it was like that for a year. Mm-hmm. Before we were able to go out on our first date. So our first date was where it was just him and myself, it wasn't until like a year or something later, and we went to the mall. This is how like joyful we were that we could just spend time together.
That's true. That's true.
We went to the mall, and it was raining, and I think even too, we went and grabbed food at Burger King. Don't ask me how I remember this.
Wow, you have a great memory.
I really don't. I remember certain things.
That's amazing.
It was a milestone, and it was triumphant.
Yeah.
That we could do that. And so, yeah, I mean, and Shay is, sorry, I'm going off on a limb. Shay is a rebel.
That's true. That's true.
He is a rebel. And so I think what sort of brought, here Shay is going to a church, and Shay's talking about he loved Jesus. Who is this Jesus? I want to find out more about Jesus.
I'm not as religious as I am now, but yes, at that time I was extremely. It's true. Yes. At
the time. And I wouldn't even call that religious, because I call the affinity to Jesus. Like,
yes,
that's true.
That's right. That's true.
It was never about religion.
Yeah, that's
for
true.
You. So
that's true. That's a great point.
Yeah, make that distinction.
Yeah.
It really was about, I want to know God for myself.
Yeah, that's true.
I wanted to.
That hasn't changed.
Who is this Jesus? Mm-hmm. Right? So Shay's coming home, and he's telling his parents, Jesus, right? And then Shay comes home and says, my girlfriend is black. So you can imagine his parents are like, okay, that's enough. Like, Jesus, and now a black girl. So it was kind of a battle or a struggle, I would say, over our entire relationship.
Yeah.
And we just kept battling it through. I say that because the whole China piece was related to your question. Because Shay and I didn't have some benefits that other folks, young people have in terms of hanging out. Like, all we had was conversation.
That's so true.
That's all we had. Like, all we had was to talk on the phone, talk when we were at school, when we were at church, when we hung out.
That's the reason why we're so good at talking. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm a talker, is because I went to Dawnn, the school of you can't go out because your girlfriend is black school.
So I think that also helped us build a friendship. And so I think when you asked me the question about China, and did I forgive you quickly?
Yeah.
I think we were able to. I was able to navigate that, my hurt around that, because ultimately you were my friend.
Yeah.
Shay was my best friend.
Yeah.
And
you were mine.
I think our friendship, and me knowing who you were, helped me to ride my anger or my hurt or my sense of betrayal that I felt. So that was a long
but I'm so glad that you shared all that, because I mean, like, I think it's really significant to understand this, because part of this dating relationship that we had because of the strain, and then even you forgiving me for this, it really propelled me into the future of like really being like holding women's feelings in a very fragile way, right? It's like handle with care. And so like later on, like if I was dating someone, I would not want to hurt a female or anyone the way I hurt you. So in terms of looking at other girls or being attracted to them, or like thinking about having an affair, like when I was married, like none of that was on my radar, just because I witnessed your pain. I witnessed the fact that I hurt you a great deal. And so I just, again, want to, thank you. I don't know, I told you in person, but I guess I'm now telling you on the World Wide Web that, I do appreciate that. And I think the fact that we did have so many conversations, and then that made such a huge difference, right? I mean, we talked about cultural things, we talked about religious things, we talked about school-related things, we talked about our goals, our dreams. I mean, we would spend easily 2 to 4 hours on the phone, like on a regular basis. And so, can you say something about that in terms of your relationships with other guys, in terms of like, you said basically to me, like 2 men in your life had really kind of set the bar for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just like you, relationship was foundational for me. I think it created a benchmark because I would later, and for your audience, I am not married. I have not been married. I would like to be, but that just hasn't happened for me yet. But I think my relationship with you set a standard that when I went to college, I at least had a sense of what someone honoring me and appreciating me looks like. I had some sense of that, in the same way that folks will say, and I believe this, that daughters get their sense of being, as it relates to dating, from their fathers.
Right.
And that father-daughter relationship is so important because they see that love and know what it looks like. Then when some joker comes along and tries to act like he's selling something that's similar, you're like, I know what that looks like.
By the way, I love the fact that you said that, because Anna, my daughter, is on listening to this right
Anna.
now. Yes. Hey, Dawn just said hi to you, Anna. So, but yeah, I think that's super important. I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, even so, my dad was very.
She just said hi, by the way.
My dad is no longer living. But my dad, that same thing for me, where I knew what a man's love looked like. And even though it's a different context when you're in a relationship, obviously, it's still, the valuing, the respecting, the appreciating. Yeah. And I just think it was the same as it relates to our relationship. So it was foundational in terms of friendship, and that is a value for me as it relates to dating. Like, it's great that I might like how you look and I'm drawn to you. Well,
thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, right. But I gotta like you. I gotta genuinely like who you are
as a person, as a human being, right?
As a human being, and our relationship helped to create that benchmark.
Yeah. No, I love what you just said. It's like, it's not only about I love you as a boyfriend or I love you as a girlfriend. It's like, I like you in that respect type of way. I admire you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's huge.
And I would say that I fundamentally liked you as a person. I fundamentally liked you. So even when, that helped me in the times, right, where Shay and I fought. So I don't want to act like we never.
We fought a lot.
It wasn't like we were all grand and whatever.
No.
And there were times where we took personal challenges that we were going through, whether it be struggling with God about something, whether it be our own personal life about something, and we would tend to take it out on each other. We
did.
We
sure did.
Would give ourselves, each other, room. It was like we didn't take it personally, but I really think that's based. That was the friendship was the foundation for that, rather than if it was all like lovey-dovey. I don't think we would have lasted that long.
Well, I want to say something about that, because I think one of the things that we really embraced, almost like a Venn diagram. We embraced the things that were similar about us, right? Like we had things that we had in common. Because I think I want to make a distinction to the audience that there's a difference between an interracial couple and an intercultural couple. Like, even though, because you know what I'm saying? Like, I was born in Korea, Chinese, but I came when I was 2 years old. So in a sense, I was extremely Americanized, but within my household, there was definitely some Chinese ways of thinking, right? But we already had so many things in common that it was easy for us to talk about those things. But at the same time, realizing that we did have differences, and so those differences didn't necessarily scare us. It gave us an opportunity for us to discuss and to learn from one another.
Yeah.
So,
and there was a willingness to learn.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think that's huge, right? So you're not just looking for hey, we have this in common, we have this in common, we have this in common. It's like, where we're different, we're like, hey, tell me about that. I want to learn, right? So.
Yeah, because you taught me how to say I love you
in Chinese and Mandarin.
in Chinese
Mm-hmm.
and Mandarin.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't talk about this yesterday.
Okay.
But literally in
You're
high
gonna
school,
scare me
I don't
now.
think I ever, don't be scared.
Okay.
I don't think I ever brought lunch after Shay and I started dating.
What?
He brought me food from the restaurant every day. Yes, you did.
I did? I don't remember this.
You fed me every day.
Wow,
Seriously.
I fed you every day?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, literally, it was like every other day.
Wow.
Or,
well, I think
seriously, like you always
I think I just
brought
enjoyed
me lunch.
I think I just enjoyed taking care of you. I think that's what it is, right? Like you're my girl, and so I need to take care of you because I don't know. Yeah, just how it should be, I guess.
Yeah, well, you did.
Wow.
Like, I never brought food. I just remember that. Like I just go to school and
That's so funny.
You'd be like, hey, there's.
Well, let's talk about that.
Restaurant.
And let's talk about that though, because you mentioned that you could have taken advantage of me in a lot of ways because, like, when I love someone, right? Like that's me, right? And you said something about understanding that that women have a lot of power over men, and they could be used for so good.
Right. Well, so what I meant was, so when Shay and I first started dating, we're sprung. Like, we're like, oh, no, you get off the phone. No, you get off the phone. I love you. It's all that, right?
Yeah.
And I would say to Shay, like, okay, get off the phone because, you got homework to do. And
you're the more responsible one at that point.
Shay would be like, no, I don't want to. So I gave you a bit of motivation and I said, okay, we had who was our English teacher? I don't know. So, if he had something to do for English, I would say, look, do that and then call me right back afterwards. Like that's your, like.
Wait, so basically Dawnn is saying the only reason I graduated from high school is because of her. Like, I wouldn't have gotten a diploma. I'd been like homeless. Like.
So, and this was just in the beginning.
Yeah.
And so you would do your English, and before I know it, and I remember this stood out for my mom too. And you'd call me right back. You're like, okay, my English is done. And I'm like, okay, great, all right. And we talk for a little bit, and then I say, okay, well, what else? And it's like, oh, math. I'm like, okay,
so
funny. Do that, and then call me back. But the reason why I was doing that, to be honest, is because I knew Shay and I didn't have any
wiggle room,
leeway, grace. No. We didn't have any grace, and I knew that if Shay's grades slipped, his parents would automatically blame me.
That's so unfair.
I was unfair. The reason that his grades slipped, and so I was like, we couldn't afford any slip up, because the rules are different for us, and so I did that. But what I said to Shay last night was that what I don't think women realize, young ladies also realize, is that when a guy when his heart is in it, I'm not talking about just from a perspective of he thinks you're cute. I'm talking about from the perspective of when a guy has his heart in it.
I felt that, by the way. I felt the way you just said that because I remember how I felt about you so strong. So,
yeah, I mean, when the heart is in it, a woman has a level of influence on that guy, and can use it to help propel them rather than use it,
for selfish gain.
Bad.
Yeah.
For selfish means.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like saying like, oh, run around and get me this and run around and get me that. Or, be at my beck and call.
Right.
And I don't think people realize that and or respect it enough. I don't think we respect that responsibility. I wouldn't even call it a power. I'll call it a responsibility.
Wow.
I don't think we as women respect the responsibility of that enough. And so, anyway, that's what you and I were talking about.
That's so powerful. And the reason why is because, interracial dating is the same and yet different.
Like we had the same, like the feelings of like infatuation or deep love or all that kind of stuff, whatever we knew love to be in high school. But at the same time, because of the cultural aspect of it, you know, Anna just said, with great power comes great responsibility.
That is your daughter, by
That
the
is
way.
totally my daughter, right? She's
dropping some
Spider-Man reference. But that's true,
Oh
though,
my
right?
gosh.
Like you saw it as a power that you had over me, and yet you honored the fact that you had my best interest at heart. And by the way, just for all of you guys out there, even though I'm Chinese, I didn't take any honors classes. My GPA cumulative was like 3.0. Like I did okay, basically. Having said that, if Dawn wanted to, I'd probably been like this Asian kid with like a 2.0 because, you know, she could have been like messing with me, but that didn't happen. Yeah. Hey, can you talk about so during many of you saw the prom picture on Instagram and Facebook. I love that photo, by the way. Just like so amazing to me. Like so thank you for finding that. But you mentioned the fact that so Dawn and I broke up, and we kind of always knew the fact that we were going to break up after high school. We just had the sense that it was going to come to an end. Is that true? I hope that's true.
Yeah, well, we talked about it. I mean,
Yeah.
we were talking about the two talkers. So
Yeah.
we discussed it. We discussed whether we felt like it didn't make sense. We were going to be freshmen in college.
Yeah.
I was going to an historically Black college, which I knew I was always going to go to at the age of 9 because I had been in the minority my entire life.
Right.
And I wanted to go to an HBCU. And we just knew, because this was our first year in college, it wasn't realistic because, you know, as you're hearing from this, we were also weird birds. We were very mature in that way.
Yeah.
And we just decided that it didn't make sense for us to try to maintain a relationship when Shay was staying in the state of California and I was going to Washington, D.C.
To an all African-American Black school, Howard.
At 18. Yeah. I mean, you're freshman, you're college, you're like, woohoo, what's going on?
And I wasn't going to follow you to Howard. So, yeah.
No.
But you were saying the fact to me that, and you've shared with me a little bit, I don't think to the extent that you told me last night, but you said the fact that you had our prom picture up and you would have people come in and make.
In my dorm room, yeah. So, you know, no one, so when we were growing up, I should kind of also give this context in terms of some advice my mother gave me. And and I should also say that we didn't talk about this. So my parents absolutely adored Shay.
Oh, thank you for saying that out loud. Oh man, I feel so loved right now because I love your parents.
They really did, to a point where you're saying, like, if some of you picked up that Shay and his wife Teresa were at my mom and dad's house.
That's true.
You're like, wait, what? Yeah. So my parents absolutely, positively loved Shay's son. And so, and then my mother fell in love with Teresa, as well. So
yes.
It's just this weird,
Yes. We're peculiar people. Yes,
we are. So anyway, my mom, you know, sort of said to me that we had a couple conversations about Shay and I, and one of the things that she said that stuck out was that, you know, Dawn, if you act awkward or ashamed or apologetic about your relationship, so will other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't get involved in, you don't have anything to apologize for or explain to people when you say, that's my boyfriend. And, oh yeah, there he goes. And they have a reaction. So you don't need to get involved in that. And that really stuck with me. And I began to really walk in that, in a lot of ways during high school. And so in college, you know, I'm in my dorm room. You have your memorabilia up from like when you're from high school and from home.
Right.
And our prom picture would be on my dresser. And you know, I lived in this, my first year of college, I was in this suite 100, whoop, whoop.
Nice.
We had, everyone had a single room, but we shared a common, like it was like 7 of us. And we each had our own room, but then there was a suite only for the 7 of us. So you had a key to get in the suite and then a key to get in your room. So folks would, come by, guy coming by, hang out in the lot in the common area in our suite. And then they might see my room, whatever. It was like a closet. And they're like, oh, who's that? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's my high school sweetheart. And people always have these moments that I guess I got really immune to. And there's sort of this pause.
They couldn't process it. They didn't know how to, it was not
really?
a part of their framework. Yeah. Paradigm.
Like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah. Like, it's no bit like, what do you mean? Like, I don't see what you see as being different.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, we didn't talk about this last night, but a guy that I ended up dating in college was very jealous of you.
What? I never knew this.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
And I should say, and that's another YouTube live.
To
talk about dysfunctional relationships.
Yes.
But that was a dysfunctional relationship I was in. And he admitted to me later, years later, how jealous he was of you. So as an example, and he would do this weird thing. We would be in a group of people and maybe I was getting a lot of attention and he didn't like that I was getting attention.
Were we communicating at that point in college?
We were still in touch.
We were okay. That makes sense. Okay.
We were still in touch and like writing letters back and forth and like whatever. Yeah, we were. And not that I don't think he necessarily knew that, but anyway. So we'd be in a group. We'd be in a group. We'd be chatting it up, and he would just say randomly, I think when he felt I got too much attention. Dawnn dated a Chinese guy in high school.
Wow. As a blow to you.
And everybody would stop and go, what? And I was like, yeah. And I said, one thing I said, and I was digging this in because he said it, but it was truth, but I was being really mean intentionally. And I said, yep, one of the best guys I know on this planet. And I have yet to meet a guy on Howard's campus that is worthy of licking his boots.
What?
And everyone would be like, what? What?
Oh my gosh.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh yeah. And then they would be more, it would deflate that because he would always say something derogatory in addition to that. Like acting like he's speaking Chinese, like being derogatory.
Wow. Yeah. Like ching chong.
And, after I was just sort of like, let me set the record straight. And now I'm dating him and I'm saying that no one I have met or encountered at this campus has yet to be worthy of licking his boots. So yeah. And what I told Shay last night was, what people could not do is make me ashamed of you. They could not make me ashamed of you, of our relationship, because I knew it was a gift. I knew it was a blessing that I was given at a very early age. And as a result, I wasn't ashamed of it. And no one could make me ashamed of it. Not even that, son of a gun who I was dating, or, being in a crowd of people amongst my peers. And even this thing of maybe wanting to feel like, okay, a lot of folks who look like me, and I had been in an environment my entire life where I was the odd man out.
Yeah.
So you think like, okay, well now you're amongst your folks, you're trying to ensure that I'm not different.
Yeah, right.
I'm like with my peers. And when someone intentionally is like trying to say, no, she's not one of us.
Oh, right.
I was kind of saying, I don't give a darn.
Right. Wow.
I don't care.
Like you're an outsider. Like you're not as black as we are.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like you're different. And trying to point and poke at it. And I was just like, you can poke at that. Like I might have been insecure about some other things.
Yeah.
Around that in terms of, am I black enough? Am I not? But our relationship wasn't was not one of it.
That is
It wasn't.
amazing. Well, I think the cool thing about this, in the sense, is the fact that like you were put to in more of a test in that sense, right? Because I was tested constantly in high school because it was my family, right? Like that was in my face. Your parents loved me, and so because of that, you didn't have to deal with that tension.
Right.
And so the fact that even after all those years, the fact that you still felt that way about our relationship says a lot about like how it was such an integral part of your experience as a human being.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh. Seriously, Dawn, I had never ever heard that story.
No, I didn't tell you that.
No,
Yeah.
I would
Oh,
remember
yeah,
that.
that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. I feel I
Offline,
seriously
I'll
I
tell
almost
you where he ended up.
my eyes are like red right now from just like tearing up because I'm like, wow, I feel so blessed and honored the fact that you're in my life and the fact that you shared that with me and like the rest of YouTube.
Yeah. No, it was yeah.
Wow.
I'm surprised I never told you that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Well, we're coming on the hour. I mean, do you have any like final thoughts? I mean, interracial dating, same but different. What are some like closing remarks that you want to make to people out there who either may be in interracial relationships or thinking about one, or like feeling good or bad or not, uncertain? Like, what would you say to them, or what might you even say to like, I don't know, to like us back in when I don't know, anything you want, whatever. It's a free choice. What would you like to say?
Well, I think the one thing I would say is that, and I think this translates into what you're asking me, is that, so I'm going to use the context of God for your audience.
Yes.
Because that's like, that is, I believe there is a God.
Yes, me too.
And I believe that God answers our prayers. But I also believe that God answers our prayers in ways that we don't always recognize because we are caught up in the packaging. And that's across the board. So when we ask for something, we have expectations of what that thing needs to look like.
Right.
And whether we fantasize or dream about it or we see it manifest in somebody else's life, I think we have our expectations of it.
Right.
And I think the lesson for me with our relationship was that, because before I was asking God, I was praying for a boyfriend.
Were you really? No, you never told me this.
Yes.
You got to be kidding me. How do I not know these things? So I'm like,
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I'm like shocked right now. I'm like, I should not be this surprised live. This is why we talked so much beforehand.
Yeah, and I guess we didn't talk enough. Right?
I guess not.
I did.
Wow.
I prayed for. He's like, God, why can I have a boyfriend? And why am I always just the girl that she's pretty for a black girl, kind of thing. And I even had a crush on. I know I told you this. Karen Nordstrom's brother.
Oh yeah, Jonathan.
Right.
Yeah, I knew that.
So it was after I sort of realized.
Well, he looks like Tom Cruise, so I didn't. That didn't bother me.
Skinnier version of Tom Cruise.
Yes.
And so, when I he was a flirt.
Right.
Whatever. And when Shay came along, Shay was an answer to my prayer, but it didn't look like, right, what I expected it to look like. And I don't even mean only about Shay's ethnicity.
Because I didn't look like an Asian Tom Cruise, is that what you're saying? Because I look so nerdy.
It wasn't about the fact that we were not of the same ethnic group.
Yeah.
It was also about the fact that we would not experience what everyone else experienced. And I wanted that, right? I wanted the boyfriend, but I wanted to be able to go to dances. And I wanted to be able to go out by ourselves.
Yeah.
And I wanted to not deal with the drama we would deal with. But it was a blessing. So what I would say is that don't get stuck with your ideas or expectations of the packaging. Physical packaging, even the trials or blessings that you might go through as it relates to a relationship, it just might look totally and completely different. But there were reasons for that. There were reasons why Shay and I went through that. And I even feel like I know I was preparation for Teresa.
Yes.
And I know that, Shay and Teresa might have encountered some difficulty with Shay's parents, but I think there was preparation.
Yeah, totally.
That helped maybe mitigate some of what they had to go through. And so just don't get caught up in the packaging, right? Like, be open to how God wants to paint the picture in your life.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing what comes out of that when you let go. And so, yeah, that's one thing I'll say. Because we're over time. I don't want to be like.
No. Yeah. No, but I love that though. I think that's so true. I mean, Chinese, one of the words for happiness is open heart, kai xin. And when you have an open heart, you're open to new experiences and new opportunities. And even though we knew the fact that there was like a timeline for our relationship, like, it was so worth it. Like, you couldn't pay me enough money to go back in time and rework our relationship or like erase it, because I wouldn't be the person I am today. Teresa's fully right in saying that. Even now I would say that, right? Because it was such a foundational developmental time in my life. And so just like now, I wouldn't take back my relationship with Teresa. I mean, Teresa and I are on great terms, you know, like I was just over at the house having our last meal, our last supper together, because, you know, she's taking off to Montana tomorrow. And I still love Anna. I love Timothy. I love Teresa. Our relationship has changed, just like my relationship with you has changed when we left for college. But no, I really think the fact that we are a product of our relationships and how we mature, because I don't think maturity has to do with age necessarily. I mean, I think like the way that you communicate with your parents was definitely a lot more mature. And I think because I talked to my mom so much and my grandparents, I think I was a lot more mature. And I think the circumstances, because the fact that we couldn't just have a normal, whatever you call it, high school dating relationship, it was more restrictive. I think that forced us to communicate. And I know that I communicate. Girls always tell me that, wow, Shay, I've never had a conversation this long, or you really listen to me. I think part of the reason what makes me an amazing coach is because I got really, really good at listening, because I spent 2.5 years listening to you. That's true, right? Not just, I mean, I'm not talking listening to you like complain, but just like listening to you, like your views on life, like how you see the world, how you understand God. I mean, like, there's so many things I learned from you. And no, I just found your mind beautiful. I found you attractive. I found your spirit, your soul, like all of you, right? And I think having that perspective of viewing women in that holistic way really, really allowed me to kind of continue to do those things, even till now, right? And like that kind of schooling, if you want to call it, coming from like real life, like if life is our classroom, right. My goodness, like you are my study buddy. And a lot of it was normal, and a lot of it was not normal.
Yeah.
But after all these years, right, of us knowing each other, like you are one of the greatest gifts in my life, especially early on developmentally. And I still appreciate our friendship. I still appreciate our conversations. I mean, I respect your mind. I respect your thoughts. I respect what you go through. And I'm so grateful the fact that you're still in my life. And
me too.
Thank you. And I hope the fact that other people out there can see that also, right? That once a relationship is over, it doesn't mean the fact that if it was built on friendship, then like those people then they still can be an asset.
Yeah.
A lot of times people think the fact that, you know, relationships of the past are liabilities. And I don't think it has to be that way. I think it's a choice. We can choose to do that, right? As long as there's like clear communication and no one's hiding anything, then I think you can be that way. And for those of you who are interested in interracial relationships, it is not for everyone. Like you have to be more resilient than other people, depending on like the community in which you're a part of. You know, because some communities are a lot more accepting, and other ones aren't as accepting. Mm-hmm. So that's something to consider. If you're going to go intercultural, and what I mean by that is if you're with someone who's a total different way of life, like me dating someone who's like from mainland China, that'd be challenging for me because I'm not as Chinese as someone from China, culturally speaking. So there's a lot of give and take in that sense too. So I just think that whatever you go in with both eyes open, be open to the experience, listen, ask questions, and enjoy the ride. And then if
Yeah.
both people are willing to adapt to one another, I think relationships can work. I think it's when we expect relationships to be easy, when we expect it to be flowing all the time, that's when we have surprises. But I think, Dawn, I think you and I had enough big things in common, little things in common, like vision, beliefs, values in common. And then we also just had things that we just enjoyed, like little things like food or music or movies or just being silly together.
Right.
So I think we had both of those things in common. And I really think the fact that that our relationship was an unusual gift to be given to someone at our age. And I don't think that even now in our culture, even with the Tinder and online dating and things like that, I'm not sure whether or not even some of those relationships can even maybe I'm being too cocky here or arrogant, but can even live up to like what we had, just because we were forced to have this like more mature-ish intellectual, I don't know, whatever. It's not even just intellectual. Like I believe that we really had connection. Bottom line, it was connection. We had so much connection at a young age that now when I look at relationship, I ask myself, can I be connected that way? Will you accept me, or do I have to pretend to be someone else? Because I don't have a poker face, right? Like, people know if I'm happy, I'm happy. If I'm not happy, you'll know it also. Maybe that's one of my weaknesses, but I need to work on. But yeah, I mean, like, you saw me and you accepted me. I saw you and I accepted you with everything. It goes back to that John Legend song, "All of Me," or is it "All of You"? I don't remember. I think it's "All of Me." Right?
Oh my gosh.
But you know what I'm saying, though, right? I mean,
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
I think that was not just Mark is saying, "Be yourself. Everyone else is taken." That's hilarious, Mark. I think it is true that way.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I will say, I think what you're, whether or not, how folks meet or connect, it is great. But I think what we are starting to lose, and I hope we do better with fighting for in this age of technology, is exploration. And it is coming to an individual and just wanting to find out who they are and what they're about. And I think in this age of getting things so instant and things coming so quickly, we're losing our level of patience on one hand, and we're also losing our ability to explore on the other. And people are complicated, messy, and beautiful beings.
Yeah, right.
If we just sort of sit back and take the time to enjoy them, and not, and this is really hard, but not to bring our agenda as to what the relationship will be. Because maybe it's supposed to be friendship, maybe it's supposed to be romantic, maybe it's only supposed to be for a season,
right?
Maybe it's supposed to be for a lifetime. And it's hard not bringing your agenda. Like, I struggle with that. But I think that's where we just get the most joy and benefit when we come to a relationship without trying to keep our agenda in check and just explore, get to know who this individual is in all of their wonderfulness, their craziness,
their humanity.
Their humanity.
Yeah.
Well said.
Just really quick, if anyone has any questions for us, feel free to go ahead and chat that and type that in for us. If you have any questions or any thoughts, well, I'll continue talking while you guys are thinking about questions to ask. But I know that we're going over the hour, but I also realize the fact that we actually didn't start it, so a little bit later, so I don't feel so bad. But I think that that those of you who are out there and that are in the dating world, a lot of things that Dawnn is saying, I mean, we're speaking from now that I'm back in the dating realm, and Dawnn and I have actually had a lot of conversations about dating now, in terms of like in her life and my own life. And I think that dating today does not necessarily feel like it did back in the 1990s, not because we're in high school, but just because the fact that it seems like the landscape of dating has shifted so much. And, I think you're right. I think the fact that we don't necessarily put in the effort and the time maybe than we were used to, because everything is more quick and easy and things like that. When relationships themselves aren't always easy. I mean, hopefully it's not difficult, like super difficult in the beginning. But when two people are trying to get to know each other, I mean, we're gonna rub each other the wrong way because we're different. And that's not even a interracial thing. That's a human being to human being thing, right?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just, I think, it's the patient thing. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard, especially, you know, when you're, you know, older and time seems to go by even faster.
Right.
It's kind of like, well, you know, let's just hurry up and, you know, do we get along? Do we have the same values? Let's just like
fast track this thing.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
You know, I don't have time. Like, you know, but I do think when we know those moments where you're just sort of, you meet somebody and you just connect, and you know, you just have a wild conversation just about life or whatever,
right?
Or just such special moments that I wish we would. I would like to have more of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we sort of miss out sometimes when we're trying to rush to get to the goal. So
kind of like hold the outcomes loosely, right? And be open to whatever. Yeah, I think that's part of it. But I mean, at the same time, like take chances, right? Like I go back to what you said in the beginning, that corny joke, right? Like cross the road, right? Cross the road. If you're too chicken, the chicken can cross the road. So cross the road, right? I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
So yes. And yeah, I think the fact that it takes courage, right? Because crossing the road means the fact that you can't be on the same side. And right, you can't stay where you are and expect to move also. And so yeah. But yeah. It's, you know, it's really interesting to think in terms of like where our friendship is, and in terms of like us working through our own relationships and things like that. And I always feel the fact that we've been an asset for one another. I mean, I think that's just always been true. And so, yeah, I think that's great.
I would agree.
Yeah. Especially with Alex, my brother, living so close to you. It'd be awesome to maybe in the future we'll do a live together where we can, you know, do it not in on audio or split screen or something like that, because I'd love the audience to be able to see you also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or even in the future I would love to do one where we figure it out also. And then if there's topics that, you know, because actually, Dawnn, just to kind of share out a little bit, can you just share a little bit? So we kind of, someone asked, why don't you guys get back together? I think right now, we're in a very unusual space right now with everything being so new. And I think we both have people in our lives too that we're interested in. But in terms of like your passion and things that you are into, can you just kind of, instead of just thinking in terms of you and me and interracial, can you just say a few words about what you're about? I mean, in terms of like nonprofit, or just like do a shout out for yourself, just in case if there's anyone out there that, you know, I'm thinking even job opportunities in the future or just whatever. Like, you are such a cool person without being connected to any guy. Like, there are things about you that makes you like an agent of change. And I've always appreciated that about you. So can you just say a few words, just like who you are in general?
Wow. So it's sort of meant for me not to be on video track, because if you saw my face right now, I'd be like, what? Like, what? You calling me out like that?
Well, no, because because you're powerful, right? Like, step into your greatness, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I guess, what do I do? I mean, I live in Washington, D.C. area. I've lived here since I came to attend college here.
Yeah.
And so this is now, I've been here 20 something years. So it's interesting that I've lived here longer than I've lived in California, now. But I'm still sort of a California girl at heart in certain ways. So some friends of mine call me, I have some friends that call me a hippie.
Really? That's funny. I don't see it that way.
Well, when they say that, this is their way of characterizing the fact, like, you know,
all Californians.
My belief about food and nutrition, and I'm like, oh, we need to eat more seasonally, and they're like, oh, Dawnn is such a hippie.
That's funny.
And so, or we call it also earthy. I'm like, well, I'm not a hippie, I'm earthy.
Nice.
yeah, so I work in the nonprofit sector. Started out more so in community development, focusing on neighborhoods that have been largely disinvested in for a number of reasons.
And most of these are inner city, would you say? Would you say these are mostly inner city communities or no?
Well, I mean, this is in terms of in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
So this is the only place I've lived other than Novato. Right. So I'm just mainly in my work has more been local to the District of Columbia. Community development, housing development, small business development is where I sort of got my start in the district and got to know more about the District of Columbia and the odd city/state that we are, because we are the capital. We pay federal taxes, but we don't have Senate representation. Mm-hmm. So the many dynamics that exist because of that, I got to learn that through kind of doing a lot of local work on the ground in communities in the district. And now I work in the philanthropic sector. So I work for a foundation that gives, the short answer, provides money to nonprofit organizations that are doing all kinds of work throughout the greater Washington region. When I say the greater Washington region, that's how we classify our region. That includes DC, suburban Maryland, and parts of Northern Virginia. So when you hear folks say the greater Washington region, it's more than just the District of Columbia, because our borders we're so connected. So I can literally leave my house and drive on a street, and in 5 minutes I'll cross a line and I'll be in Maryland. So our boundaries are fluid in that way. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Can I just say a few other things that I know of you? You do voice recording, right? Like voiceovers or things like that?
I do voiceovers from a volunteer perspective now. Mostly, it's a very hard industry.
Yeah.
I've grown to respect it and love it a lot. I think it's going through a lot of challenges right now for a number of reasons.
And Dawnn actually didn't you sing for Charlie Brown? No, I want people to know that. No, say no.
Okay.
Listen.
So when did this become the Dawnn interview?
No, there's a few things about you because if a woman's in my life, they're going to be awesome because I'm very selective. I'm very particular about my women.
Yeah, you were very selective at 15.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
But they become powerful women because they step in their power when they're 15, and when they're in their 40s, they're powerful too.
So the story is, when I was 9 years old, I auditioned for the voice of Sally in a Snoopy special, which no one has seen, called When Snoopy Gets Married. Now, to give you context, you can look this up on YouTube. To give you context, Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas is the speaking voice for Lucy and Sally.
Wow.
But at the time, she was older, and they wanted a more childlike voice for Sally just singing the wedding song. So they put it out they auditioned. They called for an audition. I was at a private school at the time, and our singing teacher, Barry, recommended me to go audition. I auditioned, and I was selected for that song. So if you go on YouTube, funny story, my friend Sandy found this on YouTube.
Oh my gosh! I wish I had the link. I'd post it in the comments right now.
You go on YouTube, you look it up.
Wait. What are the search words for it?
You just say Snoopy Gets Married or Snoopy Gets Married wedding song. And in the comments, someone says some random chick is credited with Fergie's song. So they're thinking, because they know Fergie was the speaking voice.
Right.
So they were like, so this, I guess not, because some random chick is credited with singing the song, and my friend Sandy replied in the comments. She's like, "No, she's not random. It's my friend Dawnn Leary."
That
This
is
was like,
hilarious.
this was like years ago.
Yeah, I
when she
can't
made
seem
that
to
comment.
find. I mean, I see it says Snoopy's wedding ceremony begins. Snoopy's marriage ceremony. Oh, beautiful song. I think I found it.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh.
That was.
All right, I'm pasting this in there. Enjoy Facebook world. I mean, not Facebook, YouTube world. I just pasted the link for your enjoyment later on. I know you do. That's good. You have to.
Yeah. So that was my voiceover debut when I was 9.
And you had that's one of the things I loved about you is the fact that you have a beautiful voice and you're into ballet and things like that too. So in terms of the art and all of that, I mean, I want people to know the fact that like you've got brains, you have the arts, there's so many things about you that attracted me to you. And I want you to make that really clear. And I think that's one of the reasons I brought up like you sharing about yourself is because I want people out there to like really look at people holistically, right? Like, of course, there's like the physical attraction, but that's gonna over time. I mean, we're all gonna get old, right? So you have to have things that are gonna take you beyond there. There are other things that attract you to them. You know, their confidence, their mind, their passion for the world, their artistic ability. You know, all those things. Like you know, in a world of Tinder, in a world of online dating, where you look at a photo and then you swipe. I don't think that we give people enough credit. I think this is the reason why I like speed dating more, because speed, you're in people's energy, you're in their space, and you get to like listen to them talk. And of course, even that's not enough. Like you have to go further than that. But at least it's not just like swiping people away. And I'm glad the fact that you and I didn't do that to each other back when we were 15, 16 years old. And I'm glad the fact that that we even now, you know, I don't think that that's our MO. I don't think that's our mode of operation. You know, that's not what we do to people.
No, I mean, we're of a different. I mean, also we're of a different generation in terms of dating. Even after high school, right?
Yeah.
Dating was different, and so our orientation or our muscle as it relates to how we date is different.
Yes.
And I would just say to the younger generation, where it's a different way of initially maybe meeting or connecting. Just don't take for granted the power of like looking in somebody's eyes and, and engaging with who they are.
Totally.
Because I heard a great sermon that I think still sticks with me today, and I live by it. In that, who somebody is and what they really believe, you will see it. But the thing is, you just got to give it time.
Yeah.
So be patient. Like you don't have to, rush and whatever. You'll see, because we're only good actors and actresses for so long.
Yeah.
After a while, it gets tired.
Yeah.
Like, you get real.
Even Jesus said that, right? Like an apple tree is going to. An apple seed is going to bear an apple tree is going to bear apples, right? I think that's what it comes down to. So you meet someone and you're like, "Ooh, I think they're an apple tree," and then they're like, "What? No, it's not an apple tree. It's some other fruit." So I think part of that is like integrity, and part of it is like you say who you are and you walk your talk at that point. And so I think, and we probably should close up pretty soon. But I do want to say this though, like I appreciate you saying these things to the audience, because one of the reasons I'm doing this whole Shay Shares is because I want my future clients to get to know me, and during a session it's about them. So I'm not going to be telling them about my life like this. And the fact that like you sharing with the audience these thoughts about me even just lets me know the fact that it encourages me, because like there's parts of me that have changed dramatically, but there's parts of me that have not changed. And I'm hoping that the parts that did not change are the parts that that allowed me to attract a person like you, right? If like will attract like, then the parts of you, the intellectual pieces of you, the character that you have, and all those things that drew you to me and me to you will still be alive today. Like that, those pieces of are like at our core. It's a part of our essence. Yeah. So
those are good final words, my friend.
Well, thank you. And for those of you who like stuck out, and those of you who are going to be watching this later on when it's uploaded, I hope the fact that this talk was about interracial, but that you also see the fact that it was also the same dating type of things that people deal with, but with just a little bit more spiciness because of the interracial part, right? That's what it is. It's just a little more
spicy.
Yeah, well, there's more flavor. Like some of it's Cajun, some of it's like teriyaki.
Oh my
Not teriyaki.
gosh.
Teriyaki is Japanese, but you know what I'm saying? Like soy sauce, a little bit of soy sauce with your soul food, whatever. You know, that was our Blasian mix. So yeah, something like that. I know. I'm still too much for people, but the fact that you're still my friend after all these years lets me know the fact that I must have not have changed that much in certain ways. So for our audience, keep in mind what we've, for Shay Shares is really about transforming ourselves, inspiring others, and changing worlds, right? Changing your world, changing our world, and all of us together being a little more connected in this world together. And we're using social media and using YouTube. Hopefully we can open each other's lives and live fuller lives. Ones that when we get to the end of our lives, we're like, you know what? We truly lived. Like we embrace life, right? Carpe diem, seize the day, YOLO, all those things that people say on bumper stickers. All right. Okay.
Well, thanks for letting me join
You're welcome.
folks and participating in the Shay Shares tonight. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad you had a good time. Because sometimes I talk people into things and they're like, why did you talk me into it? And I'm glad the fact that you enjoyed yourself, because I really enjoyed you doing this also. So, all right, guys. So that's pretty much it. I wish you guys the best in whatever shows up this weekend. Maybe there'll be someone you're like, wait, Dawnn said the fact that I should be open. I wouldn't normally talk to that person, but I'm going to do it. Well, and then like the Snoopy wedding song goes through your mind or something.
Please let that song not go through your mind.
All right. Take care, guys. All right. Bye, Dawnn. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye, guys.